now it is my pleasure to introduce our moderator for the evening. She's someone who is very well known to everyone, I'm sure, a longtime member of the community, very involved civically, and a longtime member and leader of our league, and that is Nancy Berry. So if you will please join me in welcoming Nancy Berry.
And that's Elaine Ramsey, who, without whom this forum would not have happened, because she did the lion's share of the work, ably assisted by Sandy Townsend. So thank you, Elaine. I do want to start out with the statement that, to make everyone very aware that the League of Women Voters is a non-partisan organization. We neither support nor oppose any candidate or any party. We do encourage civic involvement, and part of our mission is voter education, and that's, of course, what we're doing tonight. I would invite the school board candidates to come up to the front table, and if you can grab your name plate, that may help the folks in the audience be sure they know who's who. There are 5 candidates running for school board. There are 3 open seats. So it is important that you make a decision on who you want to vote for. Go ahead and take your seats in whatever order. And here we have, closest to me, Teresa Billy. Next to her, okay, now you're not sitting in the same order that my thing, I'm all confused. Gary Piccola, Adam Latham, Jim Achenbach, and Gary Kuzmerzak. Okay. We're going to start with Teresa giving an opening statement of not more than 2 minutes, and we do have a timer, so candidates pay attention to Elaine. She's got little cards that'll say, okay, you're getting close.
I'm Teresa Billy. I'm a Unit 10 retired teacher with 37 years of experience. I hold a master's plus 32 hours from SIU. I am married to Don, and we have a daughter named Lori, who is a teacher at Kreitner and is head girls basketball coach at the high school. I'm a member of Kiwanis, Christian Women's Club, Delta Kappa Gamma. I hold master board status. This is my 8th year on the school board. My premises are, number 1, district children. I will continue to serve them by promoting excellent schools and educators in a fiscally sound manner, utilizing resources from local and state funds. This has been an intensely difficult situation and responsibility given our state financial status of the mandates but no money. Our kids deserve better. Local taxpayers, it's vital to engage this group in our endeavors to operate financially solvent schools and to listen to their needs and work diligently for improvement at all levels. Trust and support are vital to create the effective educational system. We need unity, a competent staff. We're dependent upon our staff. Though we are responsible for giving the superintendent authority to manage the staff, we cannot get involved in the day-to-day operations of the schools. We must trust them to carry out their duties. We have a moral obligation to delegate authority. We aren't bosses. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Billy. Gary Piccola.
Good evening. I want to thank the League of Women Voters for sponsoring tonight's forum. I also want to thank all of you for coming. I'd like to start by telling you a little bit about myself. My wife Debbie and I are both lifelong Collinsville residents and graduated from CHS in 1974. I graduated from SIUE in 1978. I am a former U.S. Air Force captain and spent 4 years on active duty. I have been a residential contractor and developer for 30 years and am now semi-retired. I have been on the board for 8 years. The past 4 years I have been board president, and before that I was on the board budget committee for 4 years. By participating in professional development and leadership efforts, I have attained master board member status through the Illinois Association of School Boards. Providing students with the best possible education in a safe environment while maintaining fiscal responsibility will be my highest priority. This year alone, the state has cut us nearly $2 million in general state aid. With less revenue coming from the state and local property taxes, we must reduce spending. This past Monday, we cut $1.7 million in personnel costs from next year's budget. We will also be reducing another $400,000 in non-personnel items. I am not in favor of increasing property taxes. Since I have been on the board, the district's overall tax rate has remained virtually the same. I take the responsibility of being a board member very seriously, and I put a significant amount of time and effort into it. I would like the opportunity to continue to serve the district for the next 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Latham.
Good evening. My name is Adam Latham. I'm running for the Collinsville Board of Education. I'd like to thank the Collinsville League of Women's Voters as well as the Collinsville Senior Center for hosting the event. I'd also like to thank the citizens of the community who have expressed an interest and have shown up tonight and are planning to vote in the April 9th election. I live in Maryville, and I have 3 children that attend Collinsville schools. I have boy-girl twins that are in the 8th grade at Collinsville Middle School and a son in the 6th grade at Doris Intermediate School. For the past 10 years, I've worked as a U.S. Postal Inspector, which is a federal law enforcement officer, and I conduct fraud investigations in Southern Illinois. Before that, I worked as an engineer at McDonnell Douglas and worked on the design of stealth aircraft and missiles. I have graduate degrees in business administration and electrical engineering. I'm asking for your vote because I care about the future of the school district and have an interest in its oversight. I actively participate in the discussion of board issues. I attend the monthly board meetings, and I've spoken several times before the board at their public meetings. I've also had several guest editorials published in the Collinsville Herald on school-related topics. There are 3 issues I hope to address if elected. 1, return fiscal discipline to the board. After spending $4 million more than it took in last year, the board this year passed a budget with a projected deficit of nearly $7 million. Instead of conserving cash, the board went on an irresponsible spending spree. I'll work to develop balanced budgets for the district. 2, increase the transparency of school board meetings. I will advocate for placing board meeting exhibits on the district website for easy access to the public, and will also work to get video recordings of board meetings made available to the public. And number 3, raise student scores. The district is continuing not to make adequate yearly progress under the No Child Left Behind Act due to the failure of students with disabilities and other subgroups to meet thresholds. As the parent of a child with a developmental disability, I will work to reverse this trend. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Achenbach.
Thank you. First, I'd also like to start by thanking the League of Women Voters for providing this forum tonight. Many of you probably know me in this room. I had served previously as a member of the Board of Education for 8 years, from 2003 to 2011. When I started my tenure on this board, we faced some very difficult financial times. The board at that time was facing a $1 million deficit in the education fund, and it was rapidly growing. It took us 5 years of controlling expenditures until 2007, until we were able to bring the education fund back into the black. Fortunately, during that time, one of the things that helped us is that housing values and district EAD were rapidly increasing, providing an influx of new local tax revenues into the district. That is not happening at this particular time. Housing values are on the decline. When I retired from the board in 2011, along with my friend Mr. Jokers, I had no thoughts of ever returning. We had left the district in the best financial condition it had seen in more than a decade. There was $17 million in the operating balance of the 4 primary operating funds, and the district had received financial recognition from the State Board of Education. Now the district finds itself in another financial mess, partly because of the state of Illinois' inability to pay its bills, and partly because of the 2-year spending and hiring spree this board has chosen to follow since 2011. I'm not here to throw anybody under the bus. I know all these incumbents. I've served with them. They're very fine people. They were very fine board members. But unfortunately, over the last few years, they've made a lot of very bad decisions. I believe my experience and my leadership would be helpful in guiding this district back to a time of financial stability. The task ahead is going to be monumental. If voters choose to return me to office, I will do my very best to try to restore this district to some good financial ground.
Thank you. Mr. Kuzmiczak.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Gary Kuzmiczak, an incumbent serving and my third non-sequential term as a school board member. I want to continue serving as a school board member. With the exception of one other board member, the rest of the board, including the two incumbents on this dais, choose to ignore the existing national, state, and local economic conditions. The current board has reduced the $8 million balance in the education fund in April 2011 to less than $1 million by the end of fiscal year 2013. That's right, $7 million in deficit spending over the last 2 years. Also in 2011, $1.3 million was spent from the O&M fund for the stadium project, a synthetic turf field, pitch, track, and bleachers. Historically, money in the O&M fund had been accumulated for the purpose of building repairs, roofs, ventilation systems, boilers, plumbing, tuck pointing, and window replacements. And don't forget an unsecured $94,000 loan for the scoreboard. I was the sole dissenting vote for the turf and scoreboard. It took 35 years for the high school to get a cafeteria. It took slightly longer than 35 days to get synthetic turf. But over those previous 35 years, we had a 3,200 seat gymnasium. I think taxpayers and students deserve prudent spending for the academic mission. One doesn't eliminate one's inheritance after crawling out of deficits over the previous 10 years. When you have board members admit in public meeting that they cannot balance their checkbooks, it is time for a change. Healthcare costs have increased 20% over the last 2 years, from about $5,800 to $7,700, that the taxpayer is totally paying. Also, sick days have increased to 13 annually, plus 2 personal days.
Now we're going to start with Mr. Piccola. The first question, which we want each candidate to answer, you have up to 1 minute. If it's a yes/no answer, it doesn't have to take that long. But Mr. Piccola, we'll go in the same order, but you'll begin. The question, which you were sent ahead of time, is how would you address the challenges that the school district faces financially and educationally? In 1 minute.
Yes. All right. Loss of revenue and increasing expenses are the obvious financial challenges. 85% of the education fund budget is salaries and benefits. This year, the board froze the salaries of all administrators. We will have to negotiate with our 4 unions to find ways to reduce those expenses. The bottom line is we have to continue to cut expenses while trying to minimize the impact on students. We have to look at increasing fees, exploring grants, and partnering with booster clubs and community organizations as ways to offset the reduction in revenue. The biggest challenge educationally will be handling the mandated shift from No Child Left Behind to the Common Core standards while continuing to improve test scores. I support ongoing review of curriculum, implementation of new technology, and promotion of the vocational program. Thank you.
Mr. Latham, same question.
The board needs to turn away from its poor fiscal management over the past 2 years. The approval of the $1.3 million stadium project a year and a half ago without any private sector funding, which Mr. Piccola and Ms. Billy both voted for, was simply a bad decision. I spoke out against the project, as did a former board member and many other district taxpayers, but it was approved. That $1.3 million project led to the district having to prepare a deficit reduction plan this year, which combined with Illinois' economic problems led to the faculty layoffs that occurred this week. We can't afford mistakes like that. On the educational front, the district needs to focus on raising test scores. There's widespread scorn regarding standardized testing, but the fact is that Illinois has not yet received a waiver of the No Child Left Behind Act, and it continues to fail to make adequate yearly progress under the Act. This is due in large part to various subgroups, including students with disabilities, failing to meet math and reading thresholds. Special education in Collinsville accounts for 25% or $8.7 million of the budget, but it only receives 1 page of the board's 100-page plus policy manual. That needs to change.
Mr. Achenbach.
Yes, from a financial standpoint, I would suggest, number one, we eliminate wasteful spending on pet projects. I believe we should also eliminate all non-essential spending wherever possible. I think we need, when it comes to spending, you need to ask the question on how will an expenditure affect student learning and student achievement. That is what the school is in the business of doing, educating students. We need to prepare a budget based on anticipated revenues, not just wishful spending. If the state says they're going to send you 82% of the money, you prepare your budget based upon receiving 82% of the money, not a budget based on 100% of the money, which is simply wishful thinking. From an educational standpoint, obviously we want to hire and retain the best teachers. We want to use whatever means are necessary to dismiss those teachers who aren't doing a great job. And we need to find a way to increase student-teacher contact time, not reduce it.
Mr. Kuzmizak.
I've been behaving in a financially prudent manner, and during negotiations, what gets out is a pay increase for employees is actually less, or actually more than what's printed in the paper. When you look at the teacher salary schedule, and it ramps up about 2.3% from just showing up from one year to the next, plus whatever increase they're giving, you have to add that together, plus the increase in healthcare cost. We can't go on just giving increases because we have less money to give with. As far as the educational needs, I think we have a good staff. My feeling is that the board needs to stay out of the way and let the professionals do their job.
State and federal mandates impede our ability to finance our schools. We're required to provide expanded, improved educational services with limited, ever-shrinking revenue. We must rely on our district personnel who have exceptional business management skills to assist in our operations. Likewise, we depend upon legal assistance to enable us to follow the law. We're held accountable for a great amount of public funds and how to prudently use them. Because our sources come from locals, state, federal aid, possible borrowing, prudence is vital. We want our students to have the best possible up-to-date resources for educational growth, and our staff must be likewise so dedicated.
Thank you. Mr. Latham will be the first one to respond to this next question, and then we'll go take the same order, but we'll start with Mr. Latham. I'm going to thank all of you who submitted questions. As Elaine said, we're only going to ask 2 of the questions submitted just because we have so many candidates this evening. Mr. Latham and the other school board candidates, what are your thoughts on school security?
Of course, it's vitally important with the shooting that occurred in Connecticut recently. The district, I think, has done a decent job. There are security measures put in place. I visit my kids at school. There are access controls. It needs to be, I think, finished at the high school. I think that's the main weak point we have right now due to all the various entrances that are available at the high school. But it continues to be a very critical part of the budget, and I think it needs to continue. We've been doing a good job, I think, so far.
Mr. Achenbach.
The issue of school security, of course, in your larger schools, Collinsville High School and Collinsville Middle School, you do have resource officers that work with the Collinsville Police Department, which is an important part of the program. As Mr. Latham pointed out, at the high school, it is a rather difficult building to secure because of all the entrances and exits. We're in the school business, not the prison business, so I certainly would hate to see us go to metal detectors and lock all the doors. But we need to be as prudent as possible. We do have, I believe at Collinsville High School, somewhere close to 180 security cameras there, so it's not like it isn't well documented and well protected at the current time.
Mr. Kuzmizak.
The board has spent money on video surveillance, remote control doors, primarily at the high school, but at other buildings. Without putting armed guards in all the schools, I think the district is providing adequate school security. Is it 100% foolproof? No. But then if you're going to try to stop a madman, there's not much you can do.
Mrs. Billy?
Yes, this is a thought that has just recently gone through our minds in our local church because we live in a community that is not real safe. And we have pondered seriously about getting security for our services, especially our vigil services at night. In our schools in Collinsville, I feel very, very pleased and proud that our students and teachers are well protected to the point where it is going to be difficult for us to predict from moment to moment what kind of people that are out there that would do harm to our kids. It's a terrible, terrible time of life.
Mr. Picola?
Well, the school board has taken this very seriously. You know, since I've been on the board, we have put the buzzer systems at all the schools. There are fob systems now that teachers have to use to get into the schools. We do have the SRO officer at the high school and at the middle school. Right now, we are looking into modifying the entrance down at the high school a little bit so that it'll move the office closer to the door, where then they'll have to, be able to buzz people in. We're also looking at modifying several of our other entrances to our schools to increase security. So on this issue, I'm very proud of the board, present and past, for the commitment and the money that they have put into security. The high school is the one where it is the most difficult, but that's what we're always looking for, ways of increasing security there. The middle school, our newest school, has the SRO and the buzzer system. So I believe we're staying on top of security, and we'll continue to improve it as we can.
Thank you. I did get everybody. Did I not? Okay. The second question from the audience will begin with Mr. Achenbach. The question is, what will each candidate for Unit 10 do to promote transparency?
When, in regards to transparency, of course, I think mostly of the district's finances. The district's budget is already on the district website. Of course, financial statements are available at board meetings. It's possible those things could be placed on the website as well. They are rather long and rather boring documents. School finance is a very, very complicated issue. It is certainly not for the meek or the faint of heart. So I have a hard enough time pouring through the budget, but I suppose that would be one other step that could be taken, is to put the monthly financial statements on the website.
Mr. Kuzak.
I believe in transparency. There have been instances in my service on the board where the board has been circumspect as far as making the public know of what they're voting on. Thanks to the past of when we got rid of a building principal, money was expended, but yet the board members tried to keep it under hat because it was rather embarrassing to the board. I also believe that it'd be nice if we had more folks come out to the board meetings to understand what's going on. Like, for instance, the synthetic turf. I brought that up. I would also like to see televised broadcast, because not everybody can make it to a board meeting at 6:30 on Wednesdays, and being able to catch it on cable would be an excellent way for them to catch it. Thank you.
We have regularly been admonished by our administrative staff to watch our mouths about what goes on in our meetings, to be very discreet in our discussions, and to remember that there are some things that are not in our realm of discussion with the public. That is an issue that has been difficult for us. We need to really straddle back and level off and close our mouths about things that go on in our district meetings until it's time for publication. Thank you.
Mr. Picola.
Well, the board is working on increasing transparency. I don't know if many of you may have been at the last public hearing that we had on the boundary study changes. We've had plenty of discussions in open session on the budget and several other issues. We have been putting more of the documents on the website. One of the suggestions that came from the board a while back is to rotate where we have the meetings, maybe at other schools, so we can get out into the public and have people have an opportunity to come into the board meetings. So I feel very comfortable that the board is improving our transparency. And we even have looked into broadcasting the meetings. At this time, it's a little expensive, but we're still going to be looking into it to see if we can get the costs down on that and get it on the website. So I am, like I said, very comfortable with what the board is doing to increase transparency. Thank you.
Mr. Latham.
Yes, I probably 2 weeks ago had a guest editorial in the Collinsville Herald on this very topic, and there's some copies over there at my desk I have on it. This has been on my platform last time I ran also. They got to have video on the available. It's the Collinsville City Council meetings are available. It's a very good website. There are hundreds of computers that the district bought. It is not an expensive proposition to videotape the board meetings and put them on the website. I'd also like to see exhibits that have been improved at a board meeting be available on the website. Right now, I have to call the superintendent's secretary. Sometimes I have to file a FOIA request just to get documents that have been approved. If there's an exhibit that's been approved by a board meeting, it should be available on the website. You shouldn't have to jump through hoops to get a copy of it from the superintendent's office. Thank you.
And I believe we began that one with Mr. Achenbach, right? Okay. That's the 3 questions. Now each candidate has the opportunity to have as much as 2 minutes for a closing statement. And for this, we'll begin with Mr. Kuzmerzak.
I want to continue serving as a board member. I want to use my 35 years of progressive, increased responsibility in accounting finance in the public sector. The current board is careening towards a fiscal cliff like Thelma and Louise. Those who ignore history are condemned to repeat those mistakes. I will not vote to pay additional retirement costs on the backs of students and taxpayers if sent back to local school district and municipalities. The decision is up to you. If you want a responsible board member who cares about students and their education, vote for me. If you want a fiscally prudent board member who cares about the control and limits of public spending, vote for me. I will not and have not taken any funds from any district bargaining units and have not offered quid pro quo. Thank you for your confidence in voting me in for 3 full-year terms in 1997, 2003, and 2009. Vote for Gary Kuzmerzak on Election Day, Tuesday, April 9th, or vote early at the Collinsville Senior Center starting Monday, April 25th from noon till 6. Thank you.
I think that's March 25th. So just to be clear. Mrs. Billy.
I, first of all, would like to express my very sincere thanks to all of you and for the support that I've been given in the past 8 years. It's been a wonderful experience for me. My love of children has guided me and instilled in me the need to do all that I can. I try to attend all of the functions that are sponsored by our Association of School Boards, and I really dearly love doing that. The thing that bothers me most, of course, right now is what's in all of your hearts. There's no money, folks, and no matter what we do as a board or individuals, the hatchet's gonna fall, a hatchet of criticism, and we cannot alter a lot of that. There's just not, it's not within our realm. We can certainly listen, we can speak, we can pray, and that is one of the things that we do a lot of. One of the reasons that I've taken on the board challenge again is that a teacher made a difference in my life many years ago. And I have tried to be a person who can compromise based upon the knowledge given to me. I thank everyone who has helped me to stay on the board for 8 years, and I expect a real joy in being elected again.
Thank you. Mr. Piccola.
Being a board member is an unpaid position, and many people are surprised to learn how much time is involved in serving on the board. In the 8 years I have been on the board, I have attended every regular meeting and only missed 3 special meetings. Throughout each year, I visit every school at least once to speak with the principals and teachers and sit in on classes. I meet with central administrators to learn more about the issues they deal with. I also attend numerous concerts, sporting events, and school activities at all grade levels of our district. I believe this approach gives me valuable insight and helps me make more informed decisions. Our district's finances are complicated. We have approximately 6,650 students, 800 employees, and a budget of $65 million. Over the past 8 years, I have developed a good understanding of the budget and district finances. With projections of more shortfalls in state funding, I believe we have to continue to look at reducing expenditures without raising property taxes. I realize that students and parents are passionate about the programs in which they are involved, but cuts will have to be made, and it won't be easy for anyone. However, the board has the responsibility for looking out for the entire district while remaining accountable to the taxpayers. At this point in my life, I have the time, ability, and desire to give back to the community where I have lived my entire life. I am committed to making our district the best it can be, and I believe my knowledge and experience will help me continue to be an effective board member. I want to thank you for coming tonight. Please remember to vote on April 9th, and I would appreciate you voting for me.
Thank you. Mr. Latham.
Thank you. In closing, I want to say that there are a variety of challenges facing the board, but certainly the main one at this time is the district's financial condition. The board has made some bad decisions over the past several years, and the taxpayers need new board members who will manage their tax dollars more prudently. In September 2011, a year and a half ago, I spoke to the Board of Education at their meeting regarding their vote on the $1.3 million stadium project and said the following, quote, to the board, are you 100% sure that our dismal economy is going to recover as quickly as you are assuming, and that revenues from real estate taxes in the state of Illinois are going to meet your rosy projections? I continued by stating, quote, or similar to an ostrich with its head in the sand, are you covering your eyes and ears and disregarding what the rest of us clearly know, that we are suffering through one of the toughest economic downturns in decades, and that this district's financial condition will undoubtedly decline in the coming years? The board did indeed ignore what the rest of us knew, and we're now paying the price. Again, I want to thank the League of Women Voters and the Collinsville Senior Center for this opportunity, and I respectfully ask for your vote on April 9th. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Achenbach.
Thank you. I'd just like to remind you of a few things that have been discussed tonight. As Mr. Latham pointed out, the district was in its best financial condition in more than a decade, just 2 years ago. The state of Illinois has fallen flat on its promise to provide equal and adequate funding to public schools. However, this is nothing new. This has been an ongoing issue ever since I became a member of this board in 2003. There are two sides to every coin. Not only is state revenue an issue, but so is spending by this Board of Education. In 2 years, they've run through a significant portion of the district fund balances for special projects to serve the whims of individual board members and special interest groups. This overly lavish spending has hurt our financial position and has recently created the need for budget and personnel cuts. And unfortunately, the recent $1.7 million in cuts is just the tip of the iceberg. I also want to clear the air on the issue of permanent interfund transfers. I have read and had dozens of people tell me that the monies used for these projects, including the $1.5 million spent on the football stadium project, could not be transferred and used for other purposes. This is simply not true. The Illinois School Code allows for funds to be permanently transferred between the Ed Fund, the O&M Fund, and the Transportation Fund. Normally, these funds have to be used for recurring expenses, or for non-recurring expenses. However, in 2003, the state legislature created an exemption, and it still exists today, that allows school boards to transfer money to the areas where they are needed most. Thus, the monies that were spent on that football stadium project could have been transferred to the education fund and could have been used to pay the salaries and benefits of teachers and other staff members. I thank you for your attention. I wish whoever is elected in this coming election the best in restoring financial stability to our district.
On behalf of the League of Women Voters, the children of Collinsville, and the Collinsville Unit 10 District, and all the citizens, thank you very much for being willing to serve. We know there are many difficult decisions ahead, and thank you for your commitment to our community. City Council, City of Collinsville, there are 6 candidates running. There are 2 separate terms open. One is a 4-year term, and one is a 2-year term. Now, I bet you can all figure out we don't have 6 candidates sitting up here. Because the league, putting this together is more complicated than one might think, and there were some candidates who either were not able to be here this evening or who did not respond by our deadline. I would encourage you not to take that as they weren't interested. There are going to be other reasons. But we do have these 3 candidates. We're delighted to have them. And the format will be the same. 2 minutes for an opening statement, 1 minute to answer each of 3 questions, and then 2 minutes closing statement. And I think, just to throw you folks off, I'm going to start with Mr. Dorman, who is the only candidate here tonight who is running for the 2-year term, correct? Yes, sir. 2 minutes for opening statement, please.
Okay, hello, my name's Rob Dorman. I've grown up in Collinsville, pretty much a lifelong resident. I live at 7 Davis Woods. That's in St. Clair County. There's 2 precincts in Collinsville. They're in St. Clair County. I'm in one of those. I've been an election judge, a precinct committeeman. I have a BS in Mass Comm. I have an MBA professionally. I'm an IT manager for a supply chain management company. I'd like to tell you too that I was a member of the 1981 undefeated high school state soccer championship team. And that's one of the reasons I'm here today, is because of growing up in Collinsville and learning how to play soccer here made me a team player, and I've elevated every team I've been on. And whenever I go to new teams, which you do throughout your career, you bring that spirit with you. And I'm hoping to do that for the city council. Been married 13 years, have a 5-year-old son.
Thank you. Mr. Hoskin.
Excuse me, my name is Jesse Hoskin. I've lived in Collinsville my whole life. Went through the Collinsville school system, graduated with the class of 64, and walked with the class of 65, okay? I'll be honest about that. But class of 64, went away for 3 years in the military and came back home and attended SIU for 3 years. I did not degree, but I did learn something. I have a wife of 43 years and 1 son who's living at home, and if any of you have a job for him, give it to him. I'm just, I worked for Ameren, Illinois. It was Illinois Power when I started for 41 years. I retired in 2010. I'm a member of the, I'm a police and fire commissioner at present, and I enjoy myself. I don't take anything too seriously, but when I'm serious, you'll know about it. I thank you for this opportunity. That's about all I have to say. You don't have to hold the card up.
Thank you. Nancy.
Thank you, league members, for holding this this forum. I'm Nancy Moss, and I'm administrator of Alpha and Omega Christian Fellowship and director of the State Park Food Pantry. From 1997 to 2011, I was also an independent contractor at Scott Air Force Base, where I gave workshops and did resume consultation to help military members transition into civilian careers. In the past, I was vice president and member of the management team that founded the Shop and Save grocery chain. And I'm now an advisory board member for Collinsville Faith in Action. I am an active and engaged councilman. In the 8 years that I've been on the council, I've missed only 1 council meeting. Collinsville's my home, and I want us to be prosperous, safe, and the preferred place to live. In this very difficult economy, I work to reduce spending, for greater efficiency in operations, and to keep combined taxes as low as possible. In the last 5 budget years, Collinsville's property tax levy has not increased $1, and we're in the lower third of several taxes and fees compared to other Metro East communities. And I want to make sure that we operate as cost effectively as possible. This recession hit us all really hard, but we're doing better than many other communities, and I want Collinsville to stay financially sound through any economic challenges that come, with great service, focusing on the basics, infrastructure, improvements in street, water, and sewers, public safety, supporting neighborhoods, and smart use of technology. In addition, I also support a common sense approach to attract and keep business, economic development to bring jobs, entry level all the way through professional. I want to see all existing business districts in the city have the opportunity to prosper. You know, it's always said we have a great location, and I believe that we can continue and even do more to make the most of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. That's opening statements. Now the first question, and we'll start the answers with Mr. Hoskin. What is your opinion of the use of the TIF funds?
Well, number one, I've heard a lot about it, and without actually being privy to a lot of the information that the other ones, I'm new at this. But I think any time that you have funds that are public funds, they should be used wisely for the public. I've seen some things that I disagree with as to how they were used, but at the same time, the money's there, and if it's used the way it's used properly, I don't agree with all of it, but I don't have anything to back it up. But if I'm elected councilman, I guarantee you I'll find out. That's all I have to say.
Ms. Moss, TIF funds.
We have been using TIF funds. TIF funds, of course, are the primary purpose of them is to help blighted areas and help redevelop areas and develop areas within a city. You know, we have done what we felt, the council felt since I've been on it, was necessary to attract businesses to our community. Several years ago, when we really got into development, it was the highest, highest bidder takes all for TIF. I believe those days are over for businesses to come to your community. I believe those days are over. And right now, our plans going forward in the city are to put as much of the TIF funds as we possibly can towards infrastructure. We already have plans in place to do that. So thank you.
Mr. Dorman.
I'm not a fan of TIFs at all. I don't think there's any part of Collinsville that is so blighted that it requires TIF. We have 3 million people within 15 minutes, 3 major interstates to get here. If there was not a Walmart down there, there could be a Costco, a car dealership, a big box like IKEA even that's looking in the area. For a truly blighted area, yes, short term, not 20 years. I think they did that now. It's behind us, and we can just move on, but I'm not a fan of TIF at all. I read in the paper, they want to spend $5,000 for a bar to pay his he had roof damage. I don't think TIFs should be done for that. Thank you.
The next question will begin with Ms. Moss, and I'm going to kind of combine some questions here. Some of you have answered some of this, so I want to give you enough options that you can say something new. I think you've each addressed how long you've lived in the city of Collinsville. Do you have any experience serving on a public or private board, or have you served in any capacity on a public or nonprofit entity? And if so, explain your experience. And if you've already said all that, talk about your personal priorities for the city government.
Wow. You're starting with me? Oh, great. Yes, I have had experience on boards and commission. I was on the board of directors of Shop and Save when I was with them. I was one of the founding members of the Collinsville chapter of Habitat for Humanity and served on that board for at least 6 years, I believe. I'm currently serving on the Board of Advisors for Collinsville Faith in Action, and just finished 2 terms as president of that organization. I'm treasurer for them now. In addition to that, I was on the Collinsville Civil Service Commission, which really essentially hires many of the city employees for several years before I ran for the city council.
Well, I'm a member of Sigma Phi Epsilon, that's a national fraternity. In it, I was on the social committee, which was basically the mixers and stuff like that, setting that up. And then Ways and Means, which is finding ways to make money for the fraternity. I was also one of the founders of Pixel, which a Pixel is a little bitty thing you see on the TV set. And we had a digital imaging club at SIU when I was an undergrad, and I wrote the articles, the bylaws and everything, and was the president of that. I guess that's about it. I've been a precinct committeeman and an election judge too, which are public.
Mr. Hoskin.
Well, as I've said before, excuse me, my voice is a little raspy. I'm a member of the Police and Fire Board Commission here in Collinsville. And to go back further, the city manager form of government came in during the time I served on that committee, and that made the decision to go to the managerial form of government. I was outvoted. But I work in my church as a steward, and we are just all over the place doing anything and everything. I'm on the board of trustees, if you will, at the American Legion, and that is a full-time job. Fish fry, and I'm a fish fry chairman. I'm a chairman of just about everything. I think it's because nobody else will do it. But anyway, I don't mind. Otherwise, I could tell them no. That's just about me in a nutshell.
Okay. Thank you. Now we're ready for closing statements. Now, the way this works out. Oh, I didn't do the question from the league. How come my league didn't say, stop it, Nancy? Thank you. Okay, wait a minute. I've lost my page now. Here it is. Thank you for keeping me honest. Okay, then we will go ahead and start with Mr. Dorman again. The question from the league is, how do you see Collinsville growing and sustaining itself, and what changes would you propose to carry that forward?
Well, I think there's three ways for a city to grow, and one's through population, people moving in, and others through annexation of land, which I'm not a fan of. I think if people wanted to buy a house in the city, they would have bought one. And if they're already paying for fire and water and stuff like that, then they might just want that part of it. But if they want to come in and get more services, then that's fine, if they want to pay to do that. And the other one's through economic, and I think economic is what we're all really interested in because the economy is so bad. And we're going to have to be fiscally responsible with how we spend money in the city. And that's going to drive sustainability, because sustainability is being able to survive when the chips are down, basically, whenever there's not a lot of money coming in. So we're going to have to control our spending and make businesses decide to come here and try and draw people in to live here.
Thank you. Mr. Hoskin, do you need the question repeated?
Yes, go ahead.
How do you see Collinsville growing and sustaining itself, and what changes would you propose to carry that forward?
I think in order for any community to grow, you need to attract businesses. And I don't think if you get, and I'm sorry if you disagree with me, no, I'm not, 4 or 5 Walmarts or whatever, you need to get some sound business in the community. You need to get some good restaurants. You need to get some things that will attract people to come downtown Collinsville, come into Collinsville, and quit moving Collinsville out of Collinsville. Revenue, I don't know much about the budget that's there now, but I know that it's a pretty hefty budget. But I don't see us spending money on older buildings to get them safe for somebody else to buy. You know, if you want a building in Collinsville, buy it and fix it yourself. So that's enough said on that. I'm done.
Okay. Ms. Moss.
Well, for the last several years, this is no surprise, we've been in a deep recession, and in light of the challenges that we've faced in the city and still face, the city has cut spending. We've restructured debt to save us hundreds of thousands of dollars over the next years. We've held the line on most taxes, reduced the number of employees, and significantly changed the way that we operate. We've adjusted to the economy, and we need to keep adjusting every day, every month, and every year. Despite the economy, we've attracted new business, we've stayed financially sound, we're making much needed infrastructure improvements, and we keep a safe community. We've got a strategic plan, and while the goals stay the same, the strategies to meet them have to constantly change. I really do believe that we're on the right path. I believe cities that pay attention, attend to the basics, spend frugally, and are nimble enough to adjust quickly can prosper. And with your support, I will do my best in the next 4 years to ensure that that's not just a philosophy, but it's a practice. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, closing statements. Maximum of 2 minutes. Mr. Hoskin gets to start.
Well, I'd like to, first of all, thank you ladies for allowing me to be up here. Like I said, this is my first time ever being involved in something like this. And I didn't go do a lot of research or bring you a lot of information that makes me sound really like a PhD when I've only got a kindergarten education. I'm thankful to all of you for sitting here listening to me, and I can promise you that if I am elected, I will listen and learn. I'm a good listener. I'm a good person. If you've got something to say, I'll listen to you, and I'll even, talk with you. But that's what I'm about, and I'm in this community, and I'm concerned with this community. I don't think you see too many people like me saying, I'm concerned with this community and coming in, or you can actually take a look at me and say, I'm concerned, and I know people that are concerned, and I want to be a part of it, period.
Thank you, Ms. Moss.
When I ran for my first term on the city council, I said it was because I felt our city had huge unrealized potential, and I wanted to help Collinsville break out of some of the old ways of thinking and doing and bring the right kind of economic growth and progress while keeping the heart, the personality, and all the good things about our city. I also said I wanted to improve communications with the citizens. Well, here we are now, and the differences in our city from 8 years ago are striking. Collinsville Crossing, where there were rundown motels, drugs, and prostitution. Revitalization along the Beltline, where some said it would deteriorate after Walmart moved out. Cars filling parking spaces uptown on Friday nights with people actually eating outside. Eastport, with its 2 Ameren offices, high-tech businesses, and the expectation of more in the future. The new business along in the Forney Lane area, keeping and retaining 2 new car dealerships here when most of them were moving away from this area. The addition of Rural King and the Orchards, the new Swing City and Kohl's. A retail vacancy rate of just under 5% when the entire St. Louis metro, that includes the east, area rate is nearly 8% in vacancies in retail. An office vacancy rate of only 3.3%, while the average St. Louis metro rate is 12.3%. And then there's communications, city council meetings on our website, CCTV, web Q&A, Facebook, Twitter, for far greater transparency than we had before, with more being added and planned all the time. There's no time here to even touch on infrastructure and so many other areas. Is everything perfect? No. There are still some big challenges ahead, but that's why I'm sitting here tonight. I'd sure love the privilege of helping to solve them, and I really hope you'll give me that opportunity. Thank you very much, and thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you. Mr. Dorman.
When my wife and I bought our first house on Sumner, I was asked while I was signing up to vote, would you like to be an election judge? We need help. And I said, why not? And I became an election judge. I was getting a haircut 3 years ago, and a lady cutting my hair said, they're looking for a precinct committeeman over where you live. Would you like to help? I said, sure, why not? Now, there's an open seat. That's the only reason I'm running. I don't think the city council's done a bad job by any means. I think they did the best they could do at the time with the ideas that they had and the situations that were in front of them. I'm going to try and help out. That's the reason I'm running. I have a 5-year-old boy who I want to grow up to be a good citizen and be involved in civic involvement, and I want to set a good example for him too. But I also, with an MBA, I understand finances and I understand cities. I covered city council meetings for the Collinsville Herald back in the day, so I sat through meetings and understand what goes on in them. A lot of people find those boring. I was fascinated by them though. At the time I was working at McDonnell Douglas on the F-18E and I'd go to the city council meetings to find out how my money was spent. And So I'm gonna try and do the best I can to help out and be a good citizen representative for your tax dollars.
Thank you all. Thank you for joining us tonight, and thank you for your service to our community and your willingness to serve. And again, just in case some, never mind, I forgot where I was going. Anyway, thank you very much. We'll now ask these folks to take their name tags with them, and our township candidates will come up, and I appreciate a hand for their service. We'll get on to the third and final panel. I do want to be sure you all know that the League of Women Voters compiled a voter guide that has information on each of the candidates that they submitted, their words, not ours. It is on the, help me Elaine, it is on the League Facebook,
Collinsville Memorial Library's website
Collinsville Memorial Library's website,
and Facebook group pages for Collinsville Connection and our Collinsville League of Women Voters.
Facebook group pages for League of Women Voters, Council League of Women Voters, and for Council Connection. Also, if some of you are sitting out there saying, yes, but I don't use a computer, we did print some copies which are over at our table. Okay, that's it. Same format. We will again start at this end to keep me from getting confused. Opening statements, maximum 2 minutes. And Mr. Guy, you're on.
First off, I want to introduce my mom, Gloria, who's sitting in the front row. I haven't found the one yet. Someday when I'm married, if elected or I'm a candidate again, I'll introduce my wife. But my mom drove down here from my hometown this evening, so glad she'd be here. My name's Chris Guy. I'm running for township trustee. Collinsville Township consists of all of Collinsville and Maryville. I currently live in Maryville. I'm a graduate of Southern Illinois University at Carbondale, with a degree in political science and a minor in business management. I'm running so I want to improve township government, which is why I've introduced my first term pledge, if elected to. One, create a website. It's 2013. We need a website. As taxpayers, you deserve to know where your money's going and how the township's spending it. Like I said, again, it's 2013. We need a website. I think we need to post all meetings, agendas, and minutes online. I was speaking to a member of the media the other day, and they said if they want to find out when the meetings are held, they have to make a FOIA request. There's no reason for that. Second of all, well, third, no more pay raises for elected officials. Unemployment rate in this area is almost 10%. I'm going to refuse the 3% pay raise if elected in April, and each year after that during my first term. And furthermore, oppose any tax increases. I think our government needs to live within our means. Like I said, with unemployment high, people are out of work. If they're out of work, they're not paying taxes, which means we don't have revenue. My name is Chris Guy, and I ask for your vote on April 9th. Thank you.
Mr. Sewell.
I want to thank the League of Women Voters for this opportunity to speak before you all here. Thank you. My name is Brad Sewell. I grew up in Fairview Heights, and I moved to Collinsville in 1987. I graduated from Southern Illinois University at Edwardsville School of Business in 1982. I studied accounting for 3 years, then I changed my major to marketing, and then later I went back and took some electronics classes. All of my jobs since 1982 have involved sales and business management. I believe the number one task for the elected officials of Collinsville Township government is maintaining safe and sturdy roads. I've been going to the meetings and I've been campaigning, and pretty much everybody I've talked to, pretty much everybody, is very happy with Collinsville Township government. The township supervisor and the highway commissioner are running unopposed in their elections. I think that indicates most people are happy. After they vote for each other, they can go home and celebrate their win. I believe the most important objective for the folks we elect as township trustees is funding the highway commissioner and the things he needs to do. We need to operate under a budget, live within our means, and avoid raising property taxes to do that. As many of you know, funding government can be a controversial business. I believe each township trustee needs to learn how to seek and solicit government grants so we do not have to depend on property tax revenues to fund our government. What I have learned so far is that we need to get to know the people who hold the purse strings on these grants and convince them that what we want to do with the money is worthy. Getting to know these people is important, and anyone who has ever worked in sales will tell you that no matter how good your product is, you still need to sell yourself first. I have 31 years of experience selling myself first. I believe we need to generate or operate township government similar to the way we operate a business and vote for the people who can do this.
Thank you. Mr. Stack.
Yes, good evening, everyone. Thank you very much for the league. Thank you so much, Elaine Ramsey, and especially Elaine and Sandy Townsend for bringing us here this evening. And I want to thank you all for being here on this beautiful spring evening. I've lived in Collinsville for over 30 years of my life. My wife Karen is a lifelong resident of Collinsville. I've served on the board of trustees since June of 2011, now, I'm sorry. I'm an old guy. I'm not quite that old. I've served on the board with the pleasure and the honor of serving with our supervisor, Bones Allen, our clerk, Peggy Caddick, and of course our superintendent, our road commissioner, Larry Turcano, and my fellow trustees, Mike Foley, Bob Hollingshead, and a young lady that I became a very good friends with over the last few years, Kathy Shimkus. Kathy and I, we're going to miss both Bob and Kathy. They're decided to give up. So I'm looking forward to working with the new board. I'm willing and we have to fight for common sense fiscal responsibility. This township has done an extremely great job of keeping their levy almost to nothing, no increases over many years. And I think we need to continue that. I agree we need a website so that we can network with other townships and also to communicate with all the citizens of Collinsville. The township government is the most efficient and effective and responsible unit of government we have, especially for the cost, the bang for its buck. And I hope to continue to do that.
Thank you. Mr. Woolen.
Thank you. Thanks for the Women's League voters. My name is Albert I. Woolen. I am married to Nancy. I'm a proud father of my son, Brandon. I graduated from Granite City South in 1977. I attended Labor's Training Center in Mount Sterling in 1986. I am a proud member of Labor's Local 44 in Collinsville since 1986. I enjoy being a member of the Sons of the American Legion, Squadron 365. In my spare time, I enjoy camping, boating, and sports and other outdoor activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Foley.
First of all, I'd like to thank the residents in the audience for coming out this evening, and also the League of Women Voters for sponsoring this. My name is Michael T. Foley. I am currently a trustee on the Collinsville Township Board. I have great respect for this form of government. It's grassroots government, and it's probably the biggest bang for the buck that is out there in government. I will be open, once again, if you deem to bring me back as a trustee, be open to your concerns, ideas, needs, and troubleshoot any issues you have. That's always been my policy as a trustee. I would give equal representation to everyone in Collinsville Township, whether it be you're in Collinsville, you're in Maryville, you're in Glen Carbon, and the areas that we touch. As to me, your opinions do matter. Thank you very much.
Ms. Schneider.
Hello, my name is Carolyn Schneider. I'd first like to thank the League of Women Voters for holding this forum, to everyone that took their time out to find out more about the candidates, and I'd like to thank my fellow candidates because this takes a lot of guts. I was born in Jerseyville and raised on a small farm where hard work and responsibility was just par for the course. I've been in Collinsville for 18 years. I have met wonderful people. I have some of my best friends live here. It's a wonderful community. I live with 3 dogs and a cat. No kids. I have 2 degrees, one from Blackburn College, one from St. Louis University. I studied biology, trained as a biochemist. I worked for 12 years for a multinational pharmaceutical company. I've worked on many project committees where cooperation, knowledge, and problem solving were what was needed to bring drugs to market. I gave that up, and now I am exploring my creative side. I work at the Bead Place, which is a small store owned by Collinsville residents. It's in Fairview Heights. There I've been given a lot of responsibility because they find me trustworthy. I teach classes and I design jewelry, and I think that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hill.
Good evening. My name is Dennis Hill, and I'm a candidate for Collinsville Township Trustee, just like everyone else up here. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the League of Women Voters for this forum, and as well as the staff of the Township Senior Center, and everyone here that took time out tonight to come to hear us speak. I am a lifelong Collinsville resident. I graduated from Collinsville High School in the last class that did so from the Vandalia campus. That makes me old enough to be an AARP member, but not quite old enough for Medicare. I have been married to my lovely wife, Aline, for 33 years, and have been blessed with 2 wonderful adult children named Andrew and Madeline. My education includes an associate's degree in electronics. I have a bachelor's of business administration. I have an MBA from Fontbonne University. I've been employed in either electronics, computers, or financial services industries for the past 39 years. And throughout my career, my responsibilities have included managing budgets, training and motivating employees, leading projects, and providing mortgage loans to homeowners. Currently, I'm employed as a business development officer engaged in lending money to small businesses to help them grow and prosper. My volunteer experience includes hundreds of hours with the St. Louis Tax Assistance Program, Habitat for Humanity, Rebuild St. Louis, and Junior Achievement. My motivation in running for the Township Trustee stems from a desire to give something back to the community where I've lived, raised my family, and hope to retire. I want to see Collinsville Township remain a great place to live and to raise a family. As a Collinsville Township Trustee, I will carefully and responsibly manage the taxpayers' money and resources. I will work to maintain open lines of communications between all township citizens and the Township Board, as well as among the Board, the City of Collinsville, and the Village of Maryville. I will do my part to ensure a strategic plan which maintains a strong and viable township now and in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I neglected to say as we began this that these 7 candidates are running for 4 open seats, correct? Yes. Now, we'll go on to the question that the League posed to each of you, and we will start with Mr. Sewell. The question is, how do you envision the future of the township, and what changes would you propose?
Well, as far as changes, I think the township government has been doing pretty good, and if there was truly any problems, as I said, the trustee or the supervisor and the highway commissioner are running unopposed. If people were truly unhappy, somebody would have been running for those seats. What worries me is that if the state of Illinois continues to lag in their payments and the distributions of the revenue sharing, then we're going to become more and more dependent on property tax revenues. And, if the state slows down on the payments, then I worry that we're going to have to try to raise taxes or cut spending for Mr. Chicano's budget. And, people are pretty happy with the services they've been getting in the township where he serves. And if we have to cut the spending, I worry that we're not going to be able to maintain that, and people will be unhappy with township government then. That's not good. Thank you.
Mr. Stack.
Yes, the Collinsville Township right now, and the average home of $100,000, the township costs the taxpayer about $57 a year, which is about $4.75 a month. The township operates the center, it's a conduit to the county and state services for all of the services that we apply for and grants we can get. The assessor's office also keeps us our taxes equal. It accepts senior exemption applications, and it accepts it assesses properties with new properties that help all of our taxes say at a proper level with a good tax base. I hope that we can continue to do that, and I'm sure that this township operates extremely well, and I hope we can continue to do that in the future.
Mr. Woolen.
Thank you. The township is a wonderful township, and I don't think there should be any changes on the township at this time. The future, it should hold its own. It has been there for a long time, and that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Foley.
Thank you. As far as the envisioning the township, I think we're on a pretty good rock and roll here under the leadership of Supervisor Terry Bones Allen, Road Commissioner Mr. Larry Turcano. In township government, we live within our means. We haven't had to raise, knock on wood, through a lot of these troubling times, our tax levy. That's commendable, and I'm not saying that and trying to pat myself on the back because I'm not one that does that. But in government now, with all the cutbacks and stuff, that's tough to do. And for the future, I'm like Mr. Stack and a few of the other candidates said, website, we've been working on that some over the last few years and stuff. It just hasn't gotten to where we need it to be. But we're going to work on that. If I'm back, we will definitely work on that. Thank you.
Ms. Schneider.
Hi. I've been pleased. I've been going to the meeting since December. I've been pleased with the way the township is run. But I think that we could expand some of the activities at the senior center. Maybe, as you see, it's been beautifully refurbished. I would like to see programs expanded, maybe some new programs set up for youth, whether if finances hold out. The work that I've done at the Bede Place includes website work. I've done some work with that, and I'd like to see a website where citizens can see the resources and activities that are available here at the township. Thank you.
Mr. Hill.
I believe the future of the township is bright and has great potential. I think the township, Collinsville Township has a great deal of community assets to draw visitors and new residents, including affordable housing, access to several highways, public transportation. These are all great strengths which we should use to our distinct advantage for the township. The common theme here seems to be that we should have a website. I concur. I would propose that we develop a website to improve and increase communication between the board and its residents. Township officials are elected not only to be good administrators and stewards of the taxpayers' money, they are elected to respond to the needs of the township residents. And effective communication involving an open exchange of ideas between the township and its constituents is the key to answering those inquiries. And I think the website would go a long way to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Guy.
Well, I think we need a township that is transparent to the taxpayers. Like I said at the beginning, we need a website. Every person, the public, the media, anybody who wants to know how we're spending your money, you have a right to know. We should have nothing to hide. Also, we need a long-term business plan. The state of Illinois, our governor is looking at cutting 54 to 64 million from the local government distributive fund. So how does that affect us? That's taking your tax dollars. When you go to the gas station, you go to the mall, you go to Kohl's, you go to Schnucks, taking those tax dollars, keeping it in our state government, and not sending it back down to Collinsville and Maryville. Which means, since Larry does a good job maintaining our roads, the city of Collinsville and Village of Maryville will go to Larry and say, hey, why don't you guys start taking care of some of our roads now? So we need a long-term plan, and so we don't have to raise your taxes. Thank you.
On to the next question, and Mr. Stack will begin on this one. If elected as a trustee, would you continue the present funding to support services for senior citizens and other township responsibilities such as the assessor's office and road district?
By all means, this center is a fantastic facility. We need, and it's our responsibility to our seniors, as well as we have recently, in the last few months ago, joined a youth council for the township associations, which I think would be a definite addition to the use of this facility. Our senior citizens deserve everything we've given them so far, and I think this township and the board and Mr. Allen have done a fantastic job of doing just that. Al that takes care of this place and makes sure it operates the way it does. It's definitely a plus and will continue to be that, and I hope to work as hard as I can to fight to keep that possible.
Thank you. Mr. Woolen.
I think the township has done a good job. The senior citizens has a nice place. They call it their second home. There's a lot of people, I come in here, I see a lot of people here for breakfast, lunch, playing cards and having fun, bingo. You can't take that away from nobody. I think the township's doing good. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Foley.
Yeah, I would want to see that the senior center still be funded as we do, and it's pretty much self-sufficient. We do kick some money into the breakfast and lunch program that we also get a grant for, which has been very successful. Under the leadership of Terry Bones Allen, Terry and I both together got a grant, and before you leave tonight, you probably need to go see. There's a brand new room back there, and it's a beautiful room. We also were able to get a grant for a backup generator because this building has always been called a heating and cooling center. Now we officially can call it that because of that generator. And I'm not lying when I say that. Terry and I worked very hard for that to happen. And I want to see the services here continue. Thank you.
Ms. Schneider.
I believe the senior center is very important to the community. I would like to see it continue, maybe even expand. And since we have a beautiful facility and if it's not available or the seniors aren't using it, I think that we could maybe do some youth programs, do multi-use with this beautiful facility. Thank you.
Mr. Hill.
I think the senior center is definitely a huge asset to the community, to the entire township. I too would like to see the use expanded to include possibly some youth programs, some senior/youth programs together, whereas we could, seniors could be taught how to use a computer possibly by some of the middle school and high school students, that type of thing. Simple things like email and how to Google somebody's name and those types of things. I think it's a tremendous asset that is being used wisely at its point, but I'd like to see it utilized more.
Thank you. Mr. Guy.
Well, with my position with the House of Representatives, I've been blessed to travel throughout the state, and I have to say this is one of the nicest senior centers in the state of Illinois, and I think we need to continue the services that the senior center provide. They do a good job with the meal program for seniors and different assistance with YHEAP and such. I do think it's not only should it be a senior center, but a community center. The taxpayers are paying for this use of the facility, and I think we need to utilize it to its capacity.
Thank you. Mr. Sewell.
Well, as I've become involved and going to the meetings, one of the things I've learned is that there's several programs, the General Assistance Fund, and we have a food pantry that really, the general assistance, they're not allowed to qualify for any other form of assistance to be able to qualify for that. So that is the lowest, that's the lender of last resort for many people. And you know, in these times, even in the good times, we have people that are struggling financially, and we need to keep those funds moving into those programs. And as far as the senior center, you know, really all of these other things are a small portion of the overall budget of Collinsville Township. And, you know, if we really got that bad, I'm sure Mr. Tricano would help us find some money to keep these other programs going. Thank you.
Okay. I'm going to combine combine a couple of questions. You've answered some of those others that we received, and we're going to start with Mr. Woolen this time. Do you have any suggestions for saving money or expanding services to the residents of Collinsville Township? And what do you think about the township helping with the management and restoration of Miners Theater?
Why do I have to go first on that statement? I don't know about Miners Theater or anything. I think it's a big joke down there, so I don't know what else to say. We spend a lot of taxpayers' money on that. So that's a hard question.
The rest of the question is suggestions for saving money or expanding services.
On what?
For the township, generally.
Oh, it's a good idea to expand service. I mean, everybody getting, a lot of people on the board said, that's candidates here said that they'd like to see more stuff going on at the senior citizen building, especially at the township. We can do a lot better on our streets if we can spend more money.
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. Mr. Foley.
Well, saving taxpayers' money, is something all of us want to do if possible, no doubt about it. But I don't want to see services cut that we provide in the township. Like I said before, it's the biggest bang for the buck. When we do provide good services to the residents, if you need it. The Miners Theater, okay, that's kind of near and dear to my heart, but to say spend township money on it, I probably wouldn't be in favor of that. I was a member of the JCs, myself, Bruce Dye, and Don Buck. We actually got that put on the historic register, that building. I had a grandfather and an uncle that were miners, so it is dear to me. And I do want to see it somehow restored, but as far as spending township dollars on it, that would be really hard for me to justify.
Thank you. Ms. Schneider.
From what I've seen, the township runs lean. I don't see a place to save money, but I haven't been in office to actually find out about that. But if we could expand services without much of a cost, I'd be definitely for that. Miners Theater it's in the city. I believe it's more of a city issue, and I don't know that we'd want to spend township money on the Miners Theater.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Hill.
I don't know if everyone's aware of the way Miners Theater was actually built. When there were coal mines in this town, the miners gave a portion of their salary, each hour, I believe, a penny here and there, to actually build that facility. I think it'd be an awful waste of history if that were to be lost. I think anyone who's lived here any length of time at all does have fond memories of the building, but there are financial circumstances that could override that also. I don't believe that the township, at this point, what I know about the finances, it has enough there to be able to assist the situation. I believe there's a movement afoot for a nonprofit organization to take that over. Hopefully they will be successful. As far as expanding services, I think what I would like to see is somehow the township stop. Okay. Thank you.
Saved by the bell. Mr. Guy.
Well, first off, I think elected officials need to lead by example, and that's why I'm going to refuse a pay raise if elected. I believe that pay raise, is an annual pay raise, 3%. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I think it's a 12% pay raise. For the township, I think the salary is $6,000 a year to meet twice a month. It's pretty darn good to meet twice a month. Pretty excellent pay. The Miners Theater, if you Google my name, Chris Guy, card, there's a story in the Post-Dispatch. That evening, I spoke to the card board and urged them to stop the spending on the Miners Theater, and they did so that night. There was quite a few people there that spoke, and I was happy to participate in that. Also, there's a referendum on the ballot that you ought to take a look at that will save you tax dollars, about 10%, I believe, maybe, on your tax bill. So you ought to take a look at that If you want to save money on your tax bill, you vote yes on all three. Thanks.
Thank you. Lost my place. Mr. Sewell.
Yeah, I helped circulate the petition on that referendum, and you have to vote yes to get your taxes lowered. You know, Miners Theater, it was a bust because it didn't have parking, you know. Now, if you're gonna try to make that thing go now, you have to provide parking. Well, that means you gotta knock down a building somewhere to make parking available, and as far as I know, it's the only unoccupied building in the area there, so maybe that's the one we should knock down and make it a parking lot. And go to the Wild Inn in Edwardsville. As far as expanded services, I think they're doing just fine. They're operating within a budget. I think if they were not operating within a budget, they would have had to ask for property tax increases, and they haven't. So I think everything's just perfect. Leave it alone.
Thank you. Mr. Stack.
Yes, I agree with most all that first of all, the Minor Theater, it is definitely a historic value to this community. I would love to see it restored and reopened, such as the Miners, such as the Wiley in Edwardsville. But I do not think that is all a responsibility or a cost to this township. If we are going to increase any kind of these services, which we could possibly do, but that would be where I would rather see us spend money, to bring in youth programs, to do a website that opens us up to a much better visual attitude. But no, I would like to see us increase anywhere and listen to anyone that has any suggestions as far as continuing services for the township.
Thank you. Okay, did I do all three questions? Okay, then we're ready for closing statements. And we will begin with Mr. Foley, 2 minutes.
The board of, as a member of board trustees, you should be dedicated to physical responsibility, open door policies, and keeping township government at its grassroots level. Like all governments, township government deprives its power from you, the residents, and taxpayers, which is why your involvement is crucial to the township's success. I would like to continue as a trustee, and if I am so blessed by you, the voters, to be back on the Collinsville Township Board, I will do the job as I did the last 4 years to the best of my ability. I thank you in advance. Thank you for attending. Thank the League of Women Voters for having this forum. And I ask for your vote, either in early voting or on April 9th. And I would also like to say to my fellow trustee candidates up here, the other candidates that took the floor earlier and stuff like that, you're to be commended for running. You're to be commended for running. I served 8 years on the Collinsville School Board. I know what those guys are going through and gals are going through up here tonight. It's a tough thing. As the town being on the township board is a tough thing because you have taxpayers' money. And you have to be responsible for that and be responsible with it. Thank you very much, and I ask for your vote.
Thank you. Ms. Schneider.
Again, thank you to the League of Women Voters and everyone who turned out tonight. I'm not a politician yet, but I'm intelligent, caring, and I'm excellent at problem solving. And if I'm elected and we have any problems, I think we can address that as a group. My background includes working on project committees consisting of a diverse group of people and working towards a single goal. I think that that's what the township does. I also believe that the township does a great job at helping those in need, and I would like to be part of that. My name's Carolyn Schneider, and I would appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Hill.
Thank you. Rather than regurgitate a portion of my opening statement, I've decided to share with you 12 guiding principles or things that I believe in. So here goes. We are all here tonight because we care about this township, and we all have a stake in this. So regardless of any differences of opinion, we have something in common. The second is there is strength in diversity of opinions, and all should be heard. More problems are solved through the cooperation of individuals than by confrontation. It is possible to disagree without being disagreeable. No one person or group has all the right answers. It takes collaboration and civil discourse to solve issues. Open, honest communication is the key to all understanding. Education on a subject leads to enlightenment. Ignorance leads to failure. You are what you eat, in a sense, in that whatever you put into your mind and your soul, you become. Actions always speak louder than words. Incremental change is most often more successful than reinventing the wheel. It is truer than you think that all you need to know in life you learned in kindergarten. And the last is the true measure of any society is how it takes care of those who cannot take care of themselves. If any of these principles make sense to you, I'd appreciate your vote on April 9th. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Guy.
Well, there's a saying I think we all know, if you want to talk the talk, you got to walk the walk, and which is why I've introduced my pledge, if elected, to create a website, put the township checkbook online so you know where your tax dollars are going, put all agendas, meetings, and minutes online, ensure government transparency is the key. No more pay raises for elected officials, unemployment's at 9%, but just about 10% Collinsville, Maryville area, and impose any tax increases. I think that's very, very important. I enjoy living in the Metro East. This is a wonderful place to live. I want to see Collinsville Township continue to be a place where families want to raise their family, have kids, and grow up. It's a wonderful place to live. And also, if I have the privilege of being elected, like I said, talking the talk and walking the walk, I hope, I look forward to serving with any of these fine lady and gentlemen here. But if I'm elected and the board does not support putting the checkbook online or creating a website, I will pay myself and I will create a website, put the checkbook online, put all the expenditures online, put the contact information for the township, and put all the agendas, meetings, minutes online, our budgets online, everything. And why? Because the law is on the taxpayer side. I'll do that for you, and that's my pledge. And if I don't do it, well, there's an election to vote me out. But I ask for your vote on Tuesday, April 9th, or early vote. You can early vote here at the Township Senior Center or at the courthouse in Edwardsville. You can vote in Alton, Granite City, wherever you work here in Madison County. You can vote. My name's first on the ballot. My last name's Guy. Hopefully that's easy to remember. I'll be your guy in the township, and I'll be the taxpayer's guy. So ask for a vote on Tuesday, April 9th. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Sewell.
Yeah. I got started in 2007. I work in St. Charles. I manage a business over there. And in 2007, the city council and a developer wanted to take the properties surrounding my company for economic redevelopment. And I'm kind of good at English and communications. And I started a letter writing campaign. And one of the other business owners, Jerry Kelly, Heating and Cooling, devoted all of his advertising towards the evils of eminent domain, and it was right at the peak of all of that, and we won. We defeated that, and my hobby became annoying politicians on that day. And I sit and I write letters. I have an Excel file with all of the United States congressmen in it, all of the Illinois senators and House of Representatives, and Missouri too, and I write letters and I fax them to them, and I do get responses. And to those who say that writing your congressman a letter does no good, they're wrong. There are aides at those offices taking the poll, and your voice is heard. I do this because I want to make a difference. I've been involved in campaigning since 2008, and I think I've had an integral part in helping other people reach their goal of making a difference in the community. And it's a very time-consuming endeavor. I can't tell you how many signatures we have to get on a petition to get our name on this ballot, but I met a lot of people, and those will be lifelong associations that hopefully, every 4 years I'm going back for those same signatures. But, the the whole thing about it is we've got to do what's important for the community, what's important for this township, and think of the other people first, and no thinking of me first. And if you vote for me, I promise I'll do my best to serve this community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stack.
You know, I'm a two-tour Vietnam veteran. I came back from Vietnam, and I attended BAC and SIU on the GI Bill. I've worked hard all my life. I've been a private business owner, and I've always felt that it's a responsibility and a privilege to serve your community, and especially in this capacity as a township trustee. I plan on making a unified effort to work with all the new board members and to continue to serve all the citizens of the township, including the municipalities, and especially to protect the school district and its ability to levy what is needed to give our children a quality education. We can't continue to raise levies on any of the taxing bodies when our school district needs more than anything the ability to educate our children. I'm looking forward to serving on the board. I will support and promise to work and fight to continue to do the best for this township, and to make this and continue to have Collinsville one of the best places in the county to raise your children and grow this community. Thank you very much. I appreciate your attendance here tonight, and I sure hope and wish that you'll take me back and let me go back to serving as your trustee. I will listen to anything and everything you have to say. Thank you so much for being here this evening.
Thank you. And finally, Mr. Woolen.
Thank you again. Community involvement. I believe that it is important for local citizens to become more involved on day-to-day running for local government. Common ground. I want to make sure that all opinions are heard, and after listening to everyone, common grounds can be found to make sure everyone is comfortable with the decision. I'm a hardworking man, honest. I will be honest and fulfilling in dealing with the township board, and will demand the same honesty from others. I would like for your vote, early voting, March 25th through April 6th, or please vote the 9th of April. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates for Collinsville Township. We appreciate your willingness to serve. We appreciate the past service for those of you who have been already on the board. I would like to say one more thing in closing. The referendum for card did come up, and thanks to some citizens bringing it to our attention, we did add sample wording, the wording for the referenda, to our voter's guide. It is on those websites, or we have some printed copies, and there also has a short section that says reasons to vote yes and reasons to vote no. So if you want to educate yourself regarding the referenda, we've tried to give you some basic information on that too. I think that concludes our program. Thanks to all who helped us by coming, by organizing, by bringing things, and certainly to all of you who are willing and able to run for public office and represent us well. We appreciate your time and your effort.